How we doing, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast. Riding solo today. My co-hosts are both working, but I definitely wanted to hit on the happenings around Major League Baseball yesterday. I myself was very frustrated with how the New York Yankees game ended, and I do want to elaborate on some of that because when I see favorable situations where runners are not getting moved, it gives me kind of the bad vibes of what was our Waterloo last season. Injuries as well also hurt us last year, I will say that. So definitely want to hit on the Yankees, want to hit on the Mariners' slow start, as well as the very important performance out in Queens from Max Scherzer, defeating a team that beat the Mets last year, and more importantly for the here and now, giving the Mets a much-needed quality start. I also want to hit on the Tampa Bay Rays remaining perfect, and we're going to speak about the unfortunate injury to O'Neal Cruz out in Pittsburgh, one of the true young talents of today's game. We wish him a fast recovery here at the show. And share a little about what's happening with me today. I'm actually getting my central air replaced, so it is very hot in here. But thankful that I could at least get that done. You know, in Florida, it's a must. That is one thing I must say. In New York, you can get away with not having central air. You know, you put a couple of units in different rooms, various rooms, you get away with it. But here in Florida, it's hot as shit. So I got to say that that job's getting done. Just bear with me as I'm sharing this over to my personal Facebook page. If you haven't already, I implore you, please like and subscribe to the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast on YouTube. I'm going to start it out with the NFL signing. Biggest news recently. OBJ to the Ravens, and I'm going to give my thoughts on what I really seen as a rather surprise signing. Going back to last Turkey Day for the big Giants-Cowboys game, which is the highest-rated NFL game, regular season-wise, to ever happen, a lot of people saw that as the Odell Bowl, that the winner of the game was going to have the inside track to signing Odell. Obviously, it was proven as a bunch of smoke and mirrors as Odell Beckham did not sign anywhere. I think he just wasn't 100%, and I think he made the right decision. I also think he made the right decision here. You know, if a team is willing to pay you $15 million guaranteed with incentives that could bust you up to $18 a year, I think it's good for he and his family, and I'm happy for him. But I must admit, I did see it as quite the surprise. You know, it's been well documented here on my show, as well as shows like mine, that Odell Beckham, while being a hell of a talent, does have two bad knees. You know, he had knee surgeries, most recently injured in the Super Bowl when he helped the Los Angeles Rams defeat the Cincinnati Bengals. But I believe that there's a couple of things at play here. It's no secret that Lamar Jackson, quarterback of the Ravens, has not been pleased with what's been going on out there. And I do tend to believe Mike Zappi, what's up, brother? Yeah, like him or love him, hate him, whatever. Yes, the Cowboys do draw in the ratings. What I was getting at here, though, Lamar Jackson not happy with what's been happening in Baltimore after the Deshaun Watson signing by Cleveland, kind of resetting the market. A former league MVP on his resume. Yes, I could understand why Lamar has been upset. Although upset from a business standpoint, and given his injury history as well, going back to 2020's playoff game with Buffalo and not finishing the last 2 years, I understand why Baltimore want that route. But I do believe by signing OBJ, they're going to try to fix some of the issues with Lamar and the organization and show Lamar, a man who has never truly had a number one wide receiver, that they are trying to win, that they are trying to help him. And, you know, when healthy, I still see Odell Beckham as a number one receiver in the league. You know, he had a meeting with the New York Jets, and ultimately I think what happened here is that the Jets were just not willing to pony up that kind of money. And I actually agree with the Jets. As far as the football side of thing goes, the fan side of thing, I hope that he succeeds. I hope that he does well. You know, he's one of my favorite Giants from not too long ago, you know, past teams. Unfortunately, things didn't work out with he and the organization. And I do believe that with him getting a massive contract from the Giants, which got transferred to Cleveland, which he left a lot on the table to get out of Cleveland, I think this is Odell trying to recoup some money, and he did well. I must admit, the anticipation of him coming out, holding the workout, the Ravens definitely took an interest and they made their move. So we're, here at the show, we wish him well because regardless of whatever, you never want to see a talented player be injured. You want to see them doing what they love and what they do great. And, it brings an interesting dynamic to an already competitive AFC North. You've got Joe Burrow, who was just a couple of plays shy, a couple of situations in that game shy of making a second consecutive Super Bowl. He is pushing to be possibly the best quarterback in the league right now, definitely challenging that title from Patrick Mahomes. You've got an upstart Pittsburgh Steelers team that I think Mike Tomlin did a hell of a job with when you consider how many games that TJ Watt missed. And it's a very ultra competitive division. The Ravens, despite not having Lamar, still qualified for the playoffs. And were it not for a fumble on the goal line that was returned the other way, I actually think they beat the Bengals in that game. So a lot of storylines that are going to be going down in that North Division, and as well as Deshaun Watson with the Browns. We'll see if he could expand and play better than he did in his limited sample size, getting some of the rust off. We've got the Lakers and Miami Heat, two teams that played in the finals back in 2020's pandemic season out in Disney World. They are hosting two play-in games today. I'm going to start with the Lakers. As many of you know here on the show, I have been far from a LeBron James supporter. Not the biggest fan of LeBron James, although I do respect his game. And I will say this, I'm challenging him here on the show to have that kind of signature game to keep his Lakers alive. I believe that that's exactly what's going to happen. I think he's going to get some help from Reeves, and I think they're going to win a close game against the Minnesota Timberwolves. I'm going to go Lakers 107, Timberwolves 99. I got the Lakers winning by 8. I believe that LeBron's not ready to go home. He was well rested. He's had his fair share of injuries at his age. That's common. I think the emergence of Reeves has been really good for this Lakers roster. And we alluded to it on the previous show that we're not counting out some of these lower seeded teams out west because of their championship histories and pedigrees. Same could be said for the Golden State Warriors. But I've got the Lakers advancing, keeping their season alive tonight. As goes the Miami game, barring a generational type blow-up game from Trae Young, I just don't think the Atlanta Hawks have enough to beat the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat have had their fair share of injuries as well. They've had their fair share of drama and question marks. This is a team, as I alluded to, only a couple of years removed from the NBA Finals. And I believe that this is a big prove-it year. And I said it on the last show for Jimmy Butler. Eric Spoelstra's safe. He's the best coach they've had since Pat Riley. But I do believe that the Heat advance as well. And I've got them winning. I'm going to go 110-100. I got them winning by 10 and keeping their season alive. The Atlanta Hawks have been the purest example of mediocrity for the better part of 2.5, 3 years. They've made multiple coaching changes. It's still the same old result. Trae is one of the best young point guards in this league, but it just seems like things are just not working. And I'd be lying if even I could really weigh it for what it is and say what's wrong. But I've got the Lakers and Heat both winning tonight. Going to move it over to Major League Baseball. My New York Yankees losing a tough one last night, and I've got to give credit to the opponents. Shane Bieber got off to a rough go in the beginning of the game. First 5 batters definitely got the better of him, and it honestly looked like it was going to be a really short start for him. He was able to recover and just pitch a gem and prove why year in and year out he is a Cy Young candidate. On our side, Domingo Germán, uncharacteristically 5 walks, not overly worried. He just didn't have it yesterday. But I must admit that my main frustration in this game is not Bieber mowing down 12 in a row. He's a great pitcher, and that's going to happen. Shout out Colton Brewer for our team. I feel that he gave us an opportunity to win, coming in relief and just doing a really good job. But what got under my skin yesterday, Stephen Kwan misplays a potential snag. Gleyber Torres advances to third on a triple. And we have essentially 3 at-bats to move a runner 90 feet. and we could not do that. It started with Aaron Judge popping out. You also had Anthony Rizzo get a crack, as well as Giancarlo Stanton. You're talking about the meat of the order there, and it's just unacceptable to me that the Yankees were not able to get that done. Very, very frustrating with the way that that played out yesterday. But, that's baseball. It's going to happen sometimes. I do think the Yankees will get on track tonight with the .73 ERA of Garrett Cole. I think Cole's going to bring his A game and square up this series with Cleveland tonight. And, Cleveland's got a good ball club. This is a team that a lot of people feel if it wasn't for inclement weather and the series kind of extending, which did benefit the Yankees, that they may have very well beaten the Yankees last year. As a Yankee fan, I will admit that that was advantageous to us. Cleveland's got a damn good team, and I think very highly of Terry Francona as one of the true great Major League Baseball managers. Gonna slide it over to the boys and queens. Max Scherzer yesterday on his game. Much needed victory for the New York Mets. Going into this game, he gave up 4 home runs, and he was rocking a 6.75 ERA. Definitely not the recipe for winning. And, they need Max to be this guy right now, especially with Justin Verlander injured. He'll be back soon, hopefully. I did want to make a mention and a shout out to my good friend, Mr. Richie Dorney, my longest standing friend in life out in Long Island, the biggest Met fan you'll ever know. He has a couple of takes. He does believe that Vogelbach, while he can hit, down the road, the Mets are going to need to upgrade that DH position. He's also not very keen on Eduardo Escobar. I'm sure a lot of Met fans would probably agree with Rich on that. They do have options underneath Escobar that can emerge as better options to play third. I would say Rich's biggest concern with these Mets right now has been Carlos Carrasco and his issues dealing with the pitch clock. It has been, in a short sample size, proven that he is truly struggling in a season around the board where I feel that most major leaguers, hitters and pitchers alike, are actually making solid adjustments to what's been going on. Can't say enough about Pete Alonso right now. It's early. You're talking 11 games in for the Mets, 10 in for my New York Yankees. But when I look at the power numbers and the things that he's been able to do in the early going, I must admit that I do think that if Alonso continues at this pace, he does have a potential chance to challenge what Aaron Judge did last year, hitting 62. And in some people's eyes, they consider that the real home run record, given that the other members of that illustrious class in terms of single season home run records all were linked to PEDs over the years. I'll keep it a buck. I don't really care how they view Aaron Judge's record. It was phenomenal, and it was all-time greatest for the Yankees. And to be honest, that's good enough for me. I'm not going to question the greatness of a Barry Bonds or any of these other guys. Well, maybe Sosa and McGuire. Barry Bonds was a phenomenal ball player, similar to A-Rod. I never feel that they needed to use that stuff to be great. But, I respect any and all opinions because it's always a lot of gray area and a very touchy subject when it comes to that. As the Mets go, before I move it along, I believe that Kadai Senga, he is my NL Rookie of the Year pick. It's early. I think that he needs to continue to expand on what he's been bringing to that roster, to that rotation. Max Scherzer, aging pitcher. And he's going to have days that look like what led to the 6.75 ERA. But if he could have more days like yesterday against a quality Padres team, a team that's many people's World Series pick this year, he's going to be just fine. And they have to wait out patiently the return of Justin Verlander for his first start, similar to what my Yankees are dealing with waiting for Carlos Rodon to make his season debut. But, with a very talented Braves team, who I'm picking to win that East, the Mets are definitely going to have to get that out of their big three because 4 and 5, I will say this, between Peterson and Carrasco, rather questionable. And to Rich's point, I must say that I do believe that Carrasco is on borrowed time with the Mets, as well as Eduardo Escobar. Going to move it along to what went down in Wrigley yesterday. And while the Cubs won, this is more about the Seattle Mariners. This is a team last year in the playoffs that had the eventual world champion Houston Astros on the ropes for the first 2 games. Experienced championship pedigree ultimately made the difference as the Astros did sweep them, although the Mariners did very much so have them on the ropes. Coming into this year, the Seattle Mariners were a very popular pick to win the West, and at minimum, I would say they were just a team that most people have in the postseason. I would not be overly concerned if I'm a Mariners fan. I think that this is just the April blues. I think that this happens to some teams that are expected to really be good coming out of the gates. And I think they're going to be just fine. You know, Julio Rodriguez was my first pick in my baseball draft. I wanted Aaron Judge, but Judge went first. I do like what I see out of the pitching. I just think that unfortunately, when they need the run support, they're not getting it. And on days that they're scoring runs, they're not necessarily getting the pitching. But, you know, that's going to be ironed out. I do believe in them. I think they have a good team. I think they're a playoff team. And, you know, keeping it out west for a moment, I got to give credit to what I saw yesterday. You know, Andrew Heaney tying an American League record, 9 consecutive strikeouts. That is impressive stuff yesterday that he was able to do. And this is a guy who has not really fit in all that much over the years, whether it be with the Anaheim Angels, Los Angeles Angels, Anaheim, I should say, the New York Yankees. He is infamously remembered for that horrific start in the Field of Dreams game, and he has not been all that good with the Angels. But, you know, there's a reason why these guys have made it that far. And yesterday was just proof that, you know, he still has good stuff when he applies himself. So, you know, credit to him. Anytime that you tie a very long age-old record, it's something to applaud. And, you know, when the Rangers are getting that kind of pitching, it's impressive because we all know what they could do with the bats. And as the season progresses, we'll see if the Rangers can make a playoff run. I actually think that they are one of my candidates to do just that and be a formidable wild card. And with the Astros getting off to not the best of starts, missing Jose Altuve, who was so very important to that team, former league MVP, I do believe that teams like the Mariners and Rangers have to take advantage, and they may very well. Mike Zappi, we will definitely take it. Yeah, as you should, man. Anytime you get that kind of start out of your 5-starter, a guy who's been embattled, has been far from the best at anything lately, you take it. And congrats to you. Your Rangers are off to a decent start. And I can't say I'm all that surprised. The Rays remain perfect. Got to hit on this before we flip it over to today's predictions. What more can you say? I mean, this is what championship teams look like. And yes, I said championship teams. The Rays have never won a World Series. A couple of years removed from their second World Series appearance. They lost a tough series to the Los Angeles Dodgers. And about a decade or so before that, got beat by the Philadelphia Phillies. This is a team that they have been flirting with the possibility of relocating given the terrible attendance out in Tropicana Field. Location-wise, I could speak on this being a native Floridian now, is that a resident Floridian, I should say, is that it's very difficult to drive. It's not enjoyable. That drive on 275 is tough. I have said time and time again that if you put them in the heart of Orlando or Tampa, I do think that they would be able to sell out. You know, but a hell of a baseball team. Got to give Kevin Cash Money a lot of credit for what he's been doing. You're talking about a man who has won 2 Manager of the Year awards of the last 3. He will most definitely be a candidate again this year. And this is a team that, you know, has a modest payroll, to say the least. One of the reasons why I think the Yankees haven't been busting up the luxury tax is that you have to worry about teams like them, teams like Baltimore, teams that are going to use that money to improve their teams. I think part of the reason why out in Queens, Uncle Stevie's been able to do that is because he doesn't have those same threats when you look down at the bottom of your division and you see a Washington or a Miami Marlins team. But nothing but respect for what the Rays are doing right now. I know that some haters are going to be like, oh, they haven't played anybody yet. But everybody plays everybody this year, and that will even out. But one thing, no matter who you play, is the Rays have pitching, plenty of it. And Kevin Cash has done a phenomenal job with this team over the course of the last few years. I kind of saw last year as an off year for the Rays when I was thinking about the amount of errors they made and just like some blunders that you're not used to seeing from a Kevin Cash team. But I do think the Rays are back this year. And I think that they're going to be quite the force in the American League East as time moves along. Oh, we got a trade here. Thank you for telling me this, Zappy. We've got Falcons traded for Jeff Okuda. What was the return on that, Zap? Let me know when you find out. Yeah, I know what he's doing there. Thanks for watching, Zap, even when at work. O'Neal Cruz, very unfortunate news coming out of Pittsburgh to possibly miss up to 3 months after his doctors confirm he has a broken ankle. I must admit it wasn't the wisest way that he slid into home plate. But I also want to make this clear that with the trash talk that ensued immediately from the catcher, I don't necessarily think the catcher knew that he was that injured. It's part of the game. It's an intense game. You know, I mean, you talk about the old days, the collisions at the plate between guys like Fisk and Munson, things of that nature. It's unfortunate. One of the true young talents in today's game. He'll be better for it. He'll learn from his mistake. But similar to Kayvon Thibodeau kind of doing the Snow Angels next to an unconscious Nick Foles, I don't think Kayvon necessarily knew how bad he hurt Foles in the moment. You know, it's an emotional game, this level. I don't think there was any true malice past just the heat of the moment stuff, but it did clear out the benches. Definitely a blow to a young Pirates team who's actually been playing competitive ball, you know, and I'm not all the way surprised. When I look at that Pirates roster, they do have some young talent. Pirate fans for years have been bitching, moaning, and complaining with some merit that they have not kept these teams together. Oh, fifth. That's not bad, Zappy. They got a fifth in that trade. It's not terrible. We're going to move it along to my picks today before we get out of here. My predictions for Tuesday, I got the home teams and Capitals. New York Yankees on the road, 6-2 over the Guardians. I got Cole keeping that ERA mighty clean. Orioles 10-4 over the lowly Athletics. I've got the Astros winning in Pittsburgh. I got the Rays in another low-scoring battle beating the Red Sox in Fenway. Marlins over the Phils. I've got the Blue Jays taking care of the Tigers by 5 runs. I got the Padres beating the Mets. Braves by 10 over the Reds. I've got the Mariners in a close one over the Cubs in Wrigley. I got the Twins 4-2 with a Gallo home run. I'm going to shout that out now. Rangers 9-3 over the Rangers 9-3. Let me just let that come back because I got myself a little tongue-tied here. No rush. Solo show. Kept it under 30 so I can afford to wait a moment. Got myself a little tongue-tied. It might actually be the heat in my house here with, no AC. That'll be changing soon enough. Very costly, but at least I know I'm getting a 10-year warranty on that, The life of the homeowner, always something to fix. Okay, we're getting back to it. I apologize. I did say Mariners over the Cubs, bouncing back from yesterday. 4-2 White Sox, going to take a L to the Twins. I've got Gallo going deep. Gallo's old team by 6 over the Royals. I got the Rockies and Cards in the only extra inning game. I got the Rockies winning, walking it off on their home field. The Angels behind the arm of Shohei Ohtani will handle the Nationals. I've got the D-backs by a run over the Brewers, and I've got the Dodgers beating their oldest rivals, the Giants, 7-3. Just to let the viewers know, we got that NFL draft show coming soon. Zappy, Idris, and I, possibly our boy Quentin, are going to be doing some work on that. We haven't forgotten about the movie shows. They will be on the way as well. Got some more comments coming in. Oh, Brett Bandick. Somebody just woke up. Gallo is a bum. Yeah, you're entitled to that opinion. I don't miss him as a Yankee, but never disliked the guy. That's MVP Shohei. Of course it is, Zappy. He's America's MVP. We have alluded to this on the show many times already. Until next time, I am Richie. I appreciate you spending a little bit of your Tuesday afternoon with me, and we will be back soon, and I'm going to have some company for the next show. Until next time, take care of yourselves, and I wish everyone a great week. Shout out to Sherry Dorney. Just want to say that I love you, and you're going to be just fine, and you are a phenomenal human being. Just wanted to say that. I'm out.